to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
Yeah.
And it was like weird clothes. I was like, are you serious? Like, thanks, guys. Yeah. I don't know. It's all you can eat wings, right? So, hell.
I love wings.
All you can eat boneless.
Oh, it's boneless?
Yeah, good shit.
So, oh my God, look at us.
Look
We're
at
on
us.
episode Eric Carlson.
Yeah, look at that. We're on episode
Yeah.
episode Marcus Nudivara.
True. To tie to the Blue Jackets a little bit. Yeah.
You like that?
I do like it. I like it a lot.
And we've
Which
actually
is-
got some CBJ stuff to lead with for once.
Yeah, we got a couple things to lead with, I think, for the Blue Jackets. One's a little bit bigger than the other, but
I mean, I only wrote down the one.
I think we can cover the other one for like 2 minutes,
Maybe. Yeah. But let's get to the big one first. So, our Frenchie isn't going to be playing with us this year.
No, so he's staying back in France.
He's staying in Europe.
Yeah.
So Alex Texier won't be with the Blue Jackets this year. He, signed up. He is going through the behavioral program and the player assistance program, dealing with some more personal demons. We know last year he only played in 30 something games, not even 30 games.
Yeah, it was 30 something games. And I want to say, if I remember correctly, it was a combination of he got hurt.
He broke
and
his thumb. Yeah.
While he was hurt, something happened with his family.
Yes.
And he left.
So it was a combination of injury and personal leave.
Right.
And he just didn't end up coming back. And it looks like he is still dealing with some of these demons. A lot of the grief, it might have been, we don't know if it was like a passing in his family or what it was. We're not going to speculate.
Yeah, you never know what it is. And like you said, we're not going to speculate because it could be anything. And all we know is it seems to be family related.
Yes. It seems to, at the very least, be family related.
And I always err on the side. I know these guys are players that we root for and we want them to be on the ice because they give us the best chance of winning and whatnot, but family comes first.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we dealt with that, through multiple players last year with Patrick Laine losing his father. And
yeah, and he was also injured when that happened. So you never know whether you're healthy, whether you're injured. Family comes first,
right?
And I always encourage players to keep that in mind and to lead with that. I think
fans need to keep that in mind more as well, and
because and I don't want to throw the whole fan base under the bus.
No.
The majority of the fan base has been gracious through it from what I've seen on social media, supporting Alex and whatever he's going through. But of course, as all fan base have, the few dumbasses who
the pockets, yes,
who prioritize, the team's success over the fact that these guys are human beings.
Right.
And don't understand what they go through.
Yes. So in terms of the production lost, it's really not much. Texier last year, I don't have his stats from last year pulled up.
Played pretty well.
But he played, let me see, unless you can get it first.
So last year he played in 36 games, had 11 goals, 9 assists for 20 points.
20 points in 36 games isn't bad. Out of a middle six winger.
I mean, if he prolongs that over an 82 game season, that's about 45 points.
That's decent
solid.
production out of your
That's
middle six.
solid middle six production that that the Blue Jackets could use. You can, no team in the National Hockey League is going to say no to 45 points from a young winger who's making less than $2 million and is
Right.
playing in the middle six. That's production that any team could use. And if you think about the goal scoring production, that would have been 25 goals.
Would have been 25 goals, a few fun, a couple fun shootout winners, maybe.
Yeah, a couple fun French pokes.
Seriously, people, if you have not seen the patented French poke from Alexandre Texier, this kid is one-handed shootout magic.
Yeah, he's a fun spark plug for the team, it seems like, because he's got so much talent.
He had that really awesome like rush where he like skipped over a player. He like literally had to leap over a guy in the playoffs against Tampa a couple of years ago.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember that.
I can't remember whether it was the bubble playoff or the one afterwards, but like he literally had to like jump over a guy who was sliding down.
He had the big the power play goal to start things off in Game 4. He's had some moments with this team. We've seen he's now played in 3 total seasons for us.
Right.
First season 36 games, next season 49 games, last year 36 games. So hasn't been consistently in the lineup, but you can attribute that to one, he was a really young guy coming into the National Hockey League, and he wasn't part of the plans initially to start every game. And then you have the shortened season for COVID. And then last year you have the injury, and then obviously the personal stuff that's going on. So far in his NHL career, 22 goals, 27 assists for 49 points in 123 games. He's a young kid. He's still what, 20, 22? Yeah.
Yeah. He's got plenty of time.
Turns 23 in 10 days.
Right.
So that's a guy who's still got a lot of potential, but in order to, achieve that potential, Jake, you got to be in the right mindset, and you got to
be in the mindset. You have to like just be able to focus.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been able to focus. For one thing, he's been hurt, and for, whatever else is going on in his life, he hasn't been able to focus on hockey.
And I'd like to remind people, because I said this to my buddy Justin, who's started to get into the Blue Jackets as a newer fan, and he likes Texier because, one, he just loves the fact that he's French and he has a cool name. And
well,
two,
it's fun too because like he's one of like 3 players like strictly from France in the NHL.
Yeah, Roussel and Belmar and
Tex, and that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah. So so he was bummed that he wasn't going to be playing. And I just told him, I'm like, you know why I know this is the right move for him? Because he says it's the right move for him.
Yes.
Nobody knows what's best for Alexandre Texier better than
Alex Texier. Like,
I trust. I know he's a young kid. He's only 22 years old,
and he still is going to play hockey this year. He signed a 1-year deal with the Zurich Lions.
Yeah. So he's closer to home. It seems like a good fit for him. And I'm trusting him in that he believes this is best for him. So I think it's best for him. And I wish him the best of luck.
Played.
True. True. But yeah, I'm wishing him the best of luck. I think this will be good for him, and I hope we see him back with the Blue Jackets sooner rather than later. But even if he doesn't ever come back to the Blue Jackets or anything that happens, I still wish him the best of luck.
Well, they still hold his rights.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that with whatever's going on this year, he's going to take this year. He's going to play in Switzerland, which obviously it's not France. It's close enough.
It is, yeah.
but he's closer to home. He's going to deal with his demons, whatever's going on. And I have a feeling he'll be back.
I certainly hope he is. I think he will be, but on the off chance that he's not,
there is a chance, but at the same time, like, I'm hopeful that he'll be back for 23-24.
Yeah,
you know, because like he's young enough, and I'm sure he wants to continue his dream of playing in the National Hockey League.
So his hometown to Zurich is a 4-hour and 14-minute drive.
Oh, that's really not that bad.
So yeah, I'd have to imagine what a plane's probably like hour 15, maybe hour and a half.
Yeah.
So like that's not terribly bad for distance.
I mean, from
I mean, what is that? That drives basically Columbus to Buffalo.
Columbus to Toronto is like an hour and a half flight.
Yeah.
So it's about the same.
Yeah, that's really not that bad in terms of distance. So I think that's a good fit for him. And I'm sure that plays a big factor in why he chose to go to the Zurich Lions.
Oh yeah, like playing with a team that's like that close, of course. Yeah. As far as the actual Blue Jackets roster goes, you're missing a decent third line option.
Yeah.
A really young guy, but we discussed in a previous episode, I want to say an episode or two ago, the projected lineup, right? And this gives a potential other young guy like a Kent Johnson a big opportunity. It could give a Yegor Chinnikov an opportunity.
That's the thing is every single injury or guy who loses for personal reasons, or even if it's just a suspension, every single time a player will not be in your lineup is an opportunity for someone else.
Right.
And what this does for the Blue Jackets, that's actually a little bit of a positive. Is the first positive is Texier is going to get the help that he needs with whatever.
Yes, of course. He gets his mind right.
The other positive is from right off the bat, Kent Johnson moves up the lineup.
Oh yeah, as long as, and I mean, there's, as of recording this, we're into September. Hockey's coming this month. We got training camp opening up in what, like a week and a half or so?
I want to say, yeah.
So hopefully here soon, within the next like 2 weeks, we'll go into like preview shows and going up to 2 episodes a week.
Yes.
As soon as we figure out our schedule for that.
I will let you know I will not be here next week.
Okay.
I will be in Orlando because guess who has their own haunted house down at Universal?
Look at you go, eh?
The Weekend, baby.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Get to see your boy's haunted house. Nice.
Yeah, I'm really excited. But anyway, get back to the hockey part.
Yes. So without Texier, that's going to give KJ a lot more opportunity right off the bat.
And I think it's going to be KJ because, when we looked at the projected lineups and everything like that,
KJ was the one that was in there.
He was in there, but he was like on the fourth line.
It was fourth line right wing.
People, and I'm like, I get it. I understand that there's other players who have earned their opportunity, deserve their opportunity, etc. Ain't no fucking way in hell you were putting Kent Johnson on the fourth line. No way.
I mean, like we said when we were talking about it, it's like, where else can you fit him with, with the wing depth that there is?
Yeah, and this is what happens now is I think that you're in a position, to me, you can actually move him higher up the lineup, not just put him in Texier's role potentially on the third line. I say you put, because obviously the first line is going to be Gaudreau, Jenner, Line.
Yes.
I think you put Kent Johnson on the second line and you put Gus Nyquist on the third.
Gus on the third?
Yeah.
Could do any combo of Kent and Jack or Kent and Cole. Which, like, Jack Roslovic or Cole Sillinger, you can't go wrong with either of those guys being your center.
Mm-hmm. I think for the second line, they're probably going to go with Roslovic because I think now that you have Johnny Gaudreau to play with Patrick Laine, I think they want to put Voracek with Roslovic.
Yes, you need a playmaker for Jack, who, like you said,
He's
is
a little bit more of a
forceful.
volume shooter. So I think that that's honestly probably the best fit. And why not put your really young, talented playmaker in Kent Johnson along with Voracek?
Couple of guys to feed Jack. That'd be nice.
Yeah, and you know, Kent's not afraid to shoot the puck either.
I mean, he
led
scored the
Team
goal.
Canada in shots on goal.
He led the tournament
Yeah,
in shots on goal with 42.
So that's a guy who's a playmaker, but he likes to shoot the puck. I think that fits.
That's definitely a lot. That's a fun option. And then you could put Yegor down there with Cole and see them build more chemistry together.
Yegor, Cole, Marchenko.
Oh,
and then have Robbie play with Sean Corrales.
With Sean, like he always does, and then you could.
You got speed on your fourth line, a little bit of skill on your fourth line.
Mm-hmm.
And
that definitely allows you to roll 4 scoring lines. Yeah,
because your fourth line might be the fastest line in hockey, and fastest fourth line in hockey with Robinson and Nyquist.
Oh yeah, those two, like Gus and his speed doesn't really get talked about as much.
No, he's faster than most people think.
Oh yeah, I mean
when people talk about the burners on the team, obviously everybody thinks about Robinson and Foodie, even though he hasn't played a ton. Foodie's foot speed.
Foodie does need a shot, though. You're right. We've belabored the Foodie point so much.
Yeah, but as I mentioned, you're going to have injuries. Could have suspensions. Maybe players don't play as well, so he'll get his chance in the lineup at some point.
Right.
From the get-go, man, a fourth line of Robinson, Corrali, and Nyquist, I think that's a really good fit for what the Blue Jackets want to do, for how they want to play. Yeah,
because we've talked about this like through the offseason that they're going to play more offensively.
Yeah, it's a total identity change. They changed the look of the team and the execution of the team when Brad Larson took over. This is a team that plays more South hockey.
I feel like with the lineup changes, with bringing in Gaudreau, bringing in such a well-rounded star, and then losing Texier is going to suck.
Yes,
of course. But you bring in Kent, and you bring in Goodbranson, who's a little bit more physical on the back end, and you're going to have a more well-rounded team.
Yes.
This team, like last year, we know was go, go, go.
Yes. And I think they still want to do that, but I think that they
need to add more layered defense. They need to play more well-rounded defensively this year.
100%. And that's, and Goodbranson's never really been a stout defender, top of the kind of defenseman, but he brings something that the team desperately needs, and that's
size,
that grit and sandpaper, that size. For lack of a better term, even though there are better terms, but I really just want to say he's a shit wrecker.
I mean, he kind of is. Yeah, he's definitely. Yeah, he's a wrecking ball out there.
They're not bringing him in because he had a career high in goals.
No.
Or career high in points. They're bringing him in to ruin your day.
And I mean, Eric had a buddy that wanted to come over, and he's the one that's going to be helping out.
Exactly. And the other thing is, just for the timeline of the team, another positive that I could see through this is with Gus Nyquist on an expiring contract, he's almost kind of your placeholder for Texier for the season. And then when the season comes, if you let him go, Tex just comes back and replaces Nyquist.
Right. And then if Gus would like to stay, if he wants to re-up, why not?
Yeah, I wouldn't be against it.
Although I can see him going back home to Detroit, but I mean,
It
we'll
could
see
also
how
be a
it plays out.
deadline deal, but you never
Could be
know.
a deadline guy.
We'll have to see how it goes throughout the course of the season, but it's interesting. The thing I like about this team is, they're very young and there's a lot of excitement around them. I still don't think they're a playoff team, but I'm excited about the versatility they have. And
Yes.
the good thing about the versatility is you get to see different players in different positions on different lines. They can switch things up, and it will give us more clarity throughout the course of the year going into next season, what we can expect out of the lineup, what we need, and how we can take that next step to becoming a playoff team again.
How the team can solidify what each line can look like, who plays where most often, right? Because especially with the young guys, you want to experiment.
Yeah.
But then eventually you got to get to a point where it's like, okay, is Cole Sillinger your first liner? Is Kent Johnson, like going to be glued to the second line? Where's Yegor play? Where's Marchenko play most often?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting storylines about this team this year. Who's going to play on the top defensive pair with Zach Werenski? What do you have in Kirill Marchenko?
Right.
What do you have in Liam Foudy?
What do you have in Kent Johnson?
Yeah, what is Kent Johnson and what is Cole Sillinger? Is Cole Sillinger a nice physical, gifted second line center, or is he actually a guy who can play on a number one line, or is that job Kent Johnson's?
There's so many young guys, and again, a guy that keeps coming in and out of my view is Yegor.
Yegor too. What do you have in him? Is he a middle six guy? Is he a bottom six guy? But you can play him on the power play. Like what is
right?
He? Because we know he's got some speed to his game. He's got
a wicked shot. Yeah.
But there's a lot of other holes in his game that I want to see him improve on.
Isn't he just so much fun to watch? Just go out there and smile.
And it's fun to watch him just blast the puck.
Oh yeah.
So that's interesting. What is he? Is he your next Mike Hoffman, or is he going to be a more complete player?
Right.
Because I don't want to take away the value of a Mike Hoffman. Mike Hoffmans have value in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
You can use them in the middle six part of your lineup. If you can create scoring opportunities for them, they can give you some goals. You can use them on the power play, but there's holes in their games, and you have to find ways to
plug those holes by committee.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued.
And again, we've got with the hole that's left by Texier, there are options.
Yep, opportunities and options. So as much
I'm definitely going to be just keeping track of ZSC scores though, just to see how he does.
Yeah.
Over the course of the year. And, I don't know how that Swiss League operates in terms of schedule. What's a good production? What's a good productive year out of that league? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't know their schedule. But I'm definitely going to just be keeping an eye on Tex, seeing how he does, and hopefully we can see him back for 23-24.
Sounds good to me.
The other news that I think I do remember now.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this when it broke.
Yeah.
The Blue Jackets have a fun little PTO signed.
Yes, and I think that this kind of corresponds a little bit to the Texier news, in that there are going to be players moving up the lineup, and look, it's a professional tryout. It's not an official contract. So the Blue Jackets aren't making an official commitment to a player. They're giving this guy a shot.
They're giving him a real shot.
Yeah, a real deal. Like James Neal.
James Neal signs a PTO with Columbus. And this is honestly you said this in our text messages. The last PTO worked out in Del Zotto.
Yeah, and there's a reason I like PTOs, because it is we talk about moves that are low risk, high reward.
Mhm.
Well, PTOs, often don't have high rewards, but what they are no risk, small reward. And if you're not taking any risk and you can get any kind of a reward, I mean, those rewards kind of add up over time, don't they?
Del Zotto was really productive, especially as like a shutdown guy.
Yeah, and it was on a team that really struggled defensively, and he provided some goal support, and he played his role pretty well. And he parlayed it into a 2-year deal with Ottawa.
Yeah, and he performed pretty well with Ottawa.
They had they had different plans this offseason, so they let him go. But now he gets another opportunity down in Florida.
Right. So sure, he's bouncing around the league, but like he's still a productive defenseman.
Yeah, it's important because 3 years ago it looked like he was really falling out of it, and like he wasn't. If you had told me that 3 years ago he was still going to be in the National Hockey League, I probably would have been like, I don't really see it.
Sure about that? Especially because isn't he a smaller defenseman?
I want to say yeah. I think he is. Is he like 5'11"?
Something like that. I know he brought us a lot of fun in the fan base.
Yeah, he's 6 foot.
He brought us a lot of fun with the fan base with the nickname DJ MDZ.
Yeah, he interacted with a lot of people. He loved it in Columbus. I know he did. He had a really good time in Columbus.
Shout outs to Fef and 614 for coming up with the DJ MDZ merch. It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, he had the great style, good looking guy with the great hair. Like, he was awesome. I loved him.
It was fun seeing him run around with his DJ MDZ t-shirt.
Yeah.
He actually got a shirt from that, and it was just like, it was fun.
But this is what, professional tryouts do is you have the opportunity to really compete to try and make a roster, and you can parlay that into more time in the National Hockey League. Michael Del Zotto did it, and the hope here is that James Neal will be able to do that as well. And we know that James Neal has been incredibly productive over the course of his NHL career. Specifically, he was great in Dallas, really, really good in Pittsburgh,
fantastic in Nashville.
Really good one season after being selected in the expansion draft of Vegas, and it's fallen off ever since he signed that deal with Calgary. But
and I mean, anybody looks good with Connor McDavid. Let's be frank.
Yeah,
he did look really, really good with the Oilers.
Yeah, so he's played in 869 games in the National Hockey League. Hilariously, it's his birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, James!
Yeah, he's 35 years old now. He did play in the NHL last year for the Blues. He played
28 games, right? And then he played 19 in the. No, wait, I got that backwards.
He was 29 with the Oilers and then 19 with Blues.
It was not okay. And then he played 28 in the American Hockey League afterwards.
Okay, yeah. So at this point in his career, is he the 20-plus goal guy?
No.
Oh, God, no. I don't even know if he's a double-digit guy in the National Hockey League anymore. I'd probably say not.
I think just because, especially, he just turned 35 today. I think if he makes the team and he can come in, slot in for an injury, right? And he can put up 30 points on that fourth line, why not?
He would have to play all 82 games, and
right. I mean, if
I don't even know if he's that kind of guy. He had 4 points last year in 19 games.
I guess that's fair.
So, you're not going to get that out of him anymore. He's a depth guy. If he makes the team, he's a depth guy. He's not going to be in the lineup every night.
Right.
So when he does play, he'll be on the fourth line.
He can mentor the monsters.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if that's his role too, that works.
I know there were a lot of guys that, out of PTOs over the last couple of years ended up being decent role guys in the American Hockey League. Right? Like, I know, God, who's a guy that's... a guy that's been stapled to the Marlies for like years now. That used to be a decent like third, fourth liner in the National Hockey League. Rich Clune.
Yeah, he's been with that. He retired though.
Did he retire recently?
He
Oh,
retired. Yeah.
oh.
So when I look at James Neal, it's interesting because I wanted to bring this up. The projection timeline of his career from the time he started in Dallas to Pittsburgh to Nashville to Vegas to Calgary to Edmonton. He started off his career in Dallas, Pittsburgh, Nashville, and that 1 year in Vegas as a high volume shooter.
Yes.
Who scored goals because he shot the puck a lot.
Yeah.
So, he provided value for the goals that he scored. He's a physical guy. And because he was doing so much with that, he wasn't the best defensive player.
Right.
As his career has progressed and he has gotten older, he's slowed down. He doesn't shoot the puck as much as he used to. He doesn't really drive offense. He's improved a lot defensively.
Good. And I mean, you would hope that's how a career trajectory goes.
Exactly. As he has slowed down, he has changed himself and how he plays to accommodate what used to be his strength, so he can at least provide some value. And, for me, like, here's the thing. If this guy doesn't make the roster, it's still, I think, a good thing, because if you have James Neal in your training camp for a few weeks or even a month, and his sheer presence of trying to make this hockey team pushes Liam Foudy, Kent Johnson, all these young guys, just that extra step, that extra mile. That's a good thing too.
PTOs are also, just like the point you just said, they're good for mentorship.
Absolutely.
Like, even if they don't make the roster, they can still help young guys out. And it gives them a shot, to be scouted by other teams to maybe get a shot of their own.
Who I think could really, really use a little bit of career advice and model his game a little bit after James Neal is Yegor Chinakhov.
Ooh, I like that idea.
I think that there's some similarities there.
Thinking about it, because I mean, like, especially when James was younger and how electric that shot was, and we know how much Yegor loves to shoot.
Yeah. I want him to round his game out a little bit, but at the end of the day, I still want him to shoot the puck.
Right. He's one of those guys where it's like, I feel like we have enough pure shooters. I mean, with Patrick Laine, you really only need the one.
You got a pure shooter on your back end, is Zach Werenski.
Right. You got like three pure shooters. You got like three pure shooters back there. Add Bean to the mix, and it's like, yeah.
So like, yeah, and you're going to be adding Matachuk to that, and this team is really building on their not immediately, but like in a few years, you're going to be adding Matachuk to that, and Coleman's and
Yurachek and
like.
This is
This is a team that's really building offensively, and it's
Jarmo's vision. It's been taking a while to take shape, but I think we're seeing it now.
Yeah,
we're seeing a very high octane vision out of this general manager. And I mean, James could add to that if he makes it. If not, then all the best to him in whatever he does next. But I'm very excited to see a guy like this. Is Michael Del Zotto's not the biggest name.
No.
For a PTO. James Neal.
Yeah.
That's a name. Oh, wow. Yeah. For a PTO.
Yeah. So I'm excited for him. But speaking of high volume shooters.
Are we going
we're going out west.
We're going out west?
Yeah.
All right. This broke last night, and I want to tack on another big deal to this because this is one that,
last night.
No. The one that broke last night, we're going to talk about now.
Okay.
But there is another big deal that happened since we've been gone.
Yeah.
That I want to talk about that's very similar. So JT Miller is sticking around in Vancouver. This is perfect.
Yeah.
It's such a perfect fit. Like, he loves it there.
I love the player in Vancouver.
Yes, I know he had his career year last year with 99 points.
He's not going to replicate that, and that's
No.
fine.
He's a good, like, 80-point player.
And for $8 million, I think that's more than appropriate.
For your first second-line center?
Yeah. The guy who can also play on the wing, like, he adds a lot of versatility to the team because, he can play either spot, and you have Elias Pettersson and Bo Horvat.
Right. Who knows what's going to happen with Bo over the next couple of years, but, like, with this long-term extension, if you don't keep Bo, he's a guy that you can stick to an A, of course, or he could be future captain material. Now that he's going to, like, ride the wave in Vancouver.
Yeah. Pretty steep in terms of term for a guy his age, but
$8 million a year for a guy that just turned 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I say, though, always in free agency or when you're extending when you sign a guy to a 7 or 8 year deal, you're really not signing into a 7 or 8 year deal. You're not paying for the whole 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, you're paying for the front half.
You're paying for the front half. You were paying for the first 4 or 5 years of the deal. So that's like I say it almost every episode. It's the price of doing business.
He's a great 20 to 30 goal scorer. He's very underrated defensively, I think.
He's very, very he's a pain in the ass to play against.
Oh yeah, he's like, you put him up with.
He's got some bite to his game.
Yes,
and he does a lot of things well.
He plays really well with Besser.
Yeah, I think they like what they're doing in Vancouver. I think they like their core. I think saw what this team looked like and how they played under Bruce Boudreau last year, and
you get a full season of Barbecue Bruce.
And you're hoping that what you saw towards the end of the season from Elias Pettersson is going to be consistent next year, which I think it will. So you're going to have a better Elias Pettersson. JT Miller's not going to be 99 points again, but he's still really good.
Yes.
Hopefully you have a real good full year of Brock Besser and Connor Garland, and you got 2 good defensemen back there, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who really rejuvenated his career along with Quinn Hughes.
Quinn's going to be Quinn. It's going to be fine.
Use Menko in there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Kuzmenko does. So I'm interested to see Podkolzin and Hoglander take a step.
Yeah, those guys get a year older. You know what you got in your bottom 6 with Jason Dickinson and what he does defensively, particularly.
You know who's a guy that I want to see them, like, if they have room? Bring Tyler Mott back, please.
I knew that you were going to say that. I felt like that was coming. I wouldn't be against it. He's a good fit for the bottom 6. I think that he's still unsigned, right?
Yes, and so is a guy like Sonny Milano. There are a lot of weirdly decent players still unsigned just because they don't have the money or the space on the contracts.
Yeah. I do. I think at some point it's going to be a 1-year deal, and Milano's going to go back to Anaheim.
I hope he goes back to Anaheim personally, just because it was such a fit.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
But I mean, JT, he's made his home in Vancouver. Like, he just had a kid.
Yeah.
He just had a kid the other day. And I'm happy for him and his wife. And, they finally get to, like, have a place to settle. And that's what you're looking for when you get around this point in your career, is you need a place to settle down. You need a place to ride, and you need a place where you believe you can change and compete.
So just for looking at the analytics point of view for JT Miller, in terms of he takes a lot more penalties than he draws, which I think is hilarious. That's just a perfect. That's the way to describe JT Miller. What a pain in the ass he is to play against. Goals per 60, 64 percentile. Primary assists per 60, 82 percentile. Finishing in the 90 percentile.
Nice.
Even strength, offense, driving, that was 84th percentile.
Mm-hmm.
So his defense, if you go over the last 3 years, 19, but looking specifically at last year is 44th percentile. So, for what he did last year, particularly under Bruce Boudreau, who's a more offensive coach, he actually played some pretty decent defense. So like, you can get that out of him again. That's good. I think I don't know if I've said it before, but I think I'm ready and committed to lock in that I firmly believe that the Canucks are a playoff team next year.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah.
The comparable deal that I wanted to get to, out east, Big Tage.
Yes. A very controversial deal.
$7.1 million a year for 7 years.
A lot of people very, very nervous about the fact that they gave it to him after 1 year. And what I would say to that is, I don't think that's unfair.
A mammoth deal for a mammoth-sized player.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's 6'7", Jay.
Yeah, gigantic. And they made the Sabres. This is where you got to give the Sabres some credit for what they did with him.
Mm-hmm.
They saw a guy 6'7", long reach, big.
Yep.
He said, "Screw it. We're done trying down the wings.
Let's invest in this guy, and we're gonna put you at center." And
you're playing center, and that's that.
I'm just surprised the Pagulas are finally spending money.
Well, in fairness to the Pagulas, spending money hasn't been the issue.
It's been spending money on the right people.
Yeah, they had no problem throwing $9 million at Jeff Skinner. They had no problem throwing $10 million at Jack Eichel.
Right.
So, in terms of that, I don't think that money has necessarily been the issue. It's just been the
allocating
money they give to GMs and coaches. And then they fire those GMs and coaches after 2 years. And then they're paying 4 different coaches and GMs money at the same time.
I want to see, now that he's locked up, I want to see just a giant first line. Huge first line. You put Tuck on one side, Olofsson on the other, Tage in the middle. Like, I just want to see like a gigantic hulking first line in Buffalo.
It would be a hell of a lot of fun.
The biggest thing for me is they don't really have a goalie.
Well, they got
because they signed Comrie, but like really, and UPL could get his shot.
They extended him to a 2-year deal, 2-way, but they brought back Craig Anderson on a 1-year deal.
Did they? Okay.
So I think they're content with this year. They're giving Comrie a shot to be the starting goalie and see if he can maybe take the reins and maybe he can parlay that into something for his
Craig and Comrie would be interesting.
Craig Anderson is more than okay with being the backup, but their long-term plan is, and this is as far as I know, to the people that I know, the UPL isn't. He's more of their long shot hope. Maybe he can do it. Their focus is 100% on Devin Levi.
You know what? That's kind of fair. That's more than fair.
And if you just look at the numbers,
I don't know. I always thought it was going to be UPL just because he was more immediate.
Look at the numbers in the American Hockey League for UPL.
Not that great.
I've seen him a couple times in person. It's just I don't see it with him.
Okay. Though I do again,
like I said, to a 2-year deal. I think they're still holding out hope that maybe there's something there. But as of today, their number one goaltender in their prospect pool that they are focused on and devoted to is Devin Levi.
I know you have to go within the next like half an hour or whatever, but we got to pause.
Sure.
Okay, sorry everybody. I'm running on a lot of coffee today. So
Good.
yeah.
So back on the topic of Tage Thompson, I would say if you were to create, this is one award I wish the NHL would do, and I think we've talked about it a few times. The NBA does an award for most improved player.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say just like NBA, like size.
No, so like what I'm thinking, it's like, because if you were to do a most improved player award for the NHL, it would have to be Tage Thompson.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
A guy who didn't even have like. Let me see real quick. I got
pretty sure when he was drafted, he was what, like second, third line potential.
Yeah, he was drafted 25th overall by the Blues before he was traded in that O'Reilly deal.
Oh, right, he was in the O'Reilly deal. Yep.
So before this season, and let me just do some math real quick, okay? Oh my God.
Go on.
Before this season,
yeah,
he had 35 career points.
Oh.
He scored 38 goals this year.
Wow, he scored more than his overall points total in goals last year.
Yes. Yeah. That is crazy. So he's played, let's see here. So 223 career games, and then we'll subtract 78.
This is a huge bar.
35 points in 145 career games. And then this past year in 78 games, 38 goals, 30 assists, 68 points.
Man.
So the Sabres are really they're banking that this is who he is.
They're putting their chips on the table for this kid.
And I would suggest that, considering the fact that he shot 15% on the season, that it's probably not in terms of just it's natural, regression.
38 goals.
Not a lot of
isn't
players
sustainable.
in the National Hockey League are going to shoot 15%, but he improved significantly in terms of how he drove offense, particularly off the rush. And I think what the Sabres are banking on here is he will continue to improve his offensive game and how he drives play, and that will counter the shift in shooting percentage. Because like it's not to say like, oh, you just want a shooting bender. That's not the player who he is. 15% is hard to replicate for any player. It's not sustainable. I think he's legit, but I mean, he was fourth in the National Hockey League in goals scored above expected.
Right.
The only players who are higher than him are Austin Matthews.
I mean, 60 goals.
And Chris Kreider.
Oh, yeah. Kreider did have himself a hell of a season last year.
And Kreider only had 0.1 more than him in that category. Here are players who he had higher goals scored above expected than. Next player, Steven Stamkos, Filip Forsberg, Kirill Kaprizov, Kel McCarr, Ryan Johansson, and Jason Robertson.
Oh, my God. That's some nice company.
It's great company. So the reason that I don't compare this to the Jeff Skinner deal is because Jeff Skinner, when he was signed to that extension, was 27, 28. We knew what he was. He had a career here playing with Jack Eichel. We knew what he was. And we knew that he wasn't a $9 million player.
Right.
First of all, this isn't $9 million. This is only 7.1.
Yes.
Second of all, Tage Thompson's 24.
He has room to grow still.
He still has room to grow. And we know this because he just turned 24 last year. And when he turned 24, he hit 35 career points.
Right.
And now he's up to over 100. So this concept that people are looking at and they're just like, oh, it's just 1 year. This is too risky. I don't like it. Well, and he had 1 year remaining on his deal at $1.4 million. Well, the Sabres, I think, are telling you, we believe this is legit, and we believe if this guy scores 25 plus goals and 50 plus points next year, the price tag would be higher than what we just paid him.
Right. So they're really just, again, it's a gamble. As long as he performs to just under this degree from last year, it looks like a bargain.
Yeah, even if it just stays the same, like even if his shooting percentage goes down, but he's creating more offense, getting more opportunities.
If he's still scoring like 30, then
if he's a 30 plus goal, 60 plus point player, and he's playing on your first line as your number one center, and I think he is your number one center
at this point, yes.
I mean, God, what more can you ask? You know, we see how much one season the National Hockey League make.
Mm-hmm. They make 10 plus.
Yeah, like the true franchise ones make 10 plus, but even the guys who aren't your franchise altering players, those guys are making $8-9 million.
Right.
You know,
I mean, JT Miller just signed for 8.
Yeah, and he probably would have gotten more if he wasn't as old as he is. If he's 27, 28, he probably gets 8 years for a higher amount.
Right.
So, like, I don't know. I know there's a lot of skepticism around the deal, but as someone who watched a lot of Tage Thompson last year, having lived in Buffalo, I think it's legit. I do.
I'm pulling for the guy.
I'm a firm believer in this contract. I'm all in. I might, if I get a Sabres jersey anytime soon, it's going to be Tage Thompson.
Speaking of all,
by the way, has more. He last year when he scored 38 goals, that 38 goals in a season is higher than the highest goal total in a season for Jack Eichel, who plays for the Vegas Golden Knights, who just signed.
Phil the Thrill is a Vegas Golden Knight. Dude, this transition game is turning just as elite as Zach Werenski.
I gotta say, like, this was maybe the last team I thought he would sign with.
This is really weird to me.
I don't know why. I think I just naturally assumed like he would
return somewhere.
I don't know. I didn't really think it was highly likely he was going to go back to Pittsburgh. But
I mean,
I don't know. For some reason, I just
we both felt a really big pull to Toronto for whatever reason.
Well, I would say that was probably my number 2. The team I felt a pull for was Boston.
Because he started there. And I mean,
just their injury troubles to start the season. I thought
that too.
This is an opportunity for this guy to sign somewhere and where he has a little bit of familiarity and play in the top 6 to start the season. Really,
he's still like. What's nice about what happened to Phil at this point in his career? He's much older. He used to be just a pure shooter.
Yeah.
Now he's turned into a pure passer.
He had a weird season last year.
8 goals and like 50 plus assists on the Coyotes.
I think he had, if I'm not mistaken, 8 goals and 44 assists for 50.
Oh, that's right. 52 points. Right.
So I don't know if that's necessarily him just becoming a better passer or becoming more willing to pass, or if his finishing was just comical and there was
nothing more for him to do.
Rebounds. That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if it's just, holy shit, he had like 15, 16 assists off of rebounds or something like that.
Right, exactly.
Because it's not like he was taking less shots. It's just less shots were going in.
Right.
It was a weird year for him.
It's definitely so with the way Vegas operates right now.
Yes.
With how shady the management is. And screwing over players. And all of that kind of aside, in terms of just the money management, 1.5 is just what they need.
Yes.
Because right now, without Robin Leonard on LTIR yet, without like all the LTIR guys kicking in yet, they are over $10 million above the cap ceiling. Yes, that is the perfect look on your face. That is the perfect response.
Fucking Christ.
They are, yes. I'm looking at this right now. They are $10.2 million over the cap ceiling without LTRR.
So let's go for the last 3 seasons. Just
$92 million, Jay.
Yeah.
Almost 93.
For what I was saying about Phil Kessel, okay? 3 years ago, his first year in Arizona, only 14 goals in 70 games, but shot the puck 153 times, 9.2%, way below what his career average
Averages, yes.
is.
Then again, that's the Coyotes.
Right. There's just their luck. And then he had a crazy shooting bender the next year in the 56 games. He had 20 goals, 23 assists for 43 points because he shot the puck 115 times. That's 17.4%.
There you go.
And then last year,
that's more like Phil.
175 times over 82 games, 4.6%.
Oh.
His career shooting percentage is 10.8. That's like half of his career average.
That's such terrible luck.
So that's where I'm wondering, like, if that's where some of the assists are coming from.
If it's just luck on, who knows, man.
His last year in Pittsburgh, he had 55 assists.
Well, they definitely, like, Vegas needs to, regain some goal scoring. Because you just chucked, after losing Patches and Dadonov, you just shipped 60 goals out the door for cap relief, essentially.
Kind of, yeah.
And
not ideal. Now you're hoping that what you get in replacement is a full season of Jack Eichel, so that would give you 30, 35 goals of those back.
And then 25 to 30 maybe from Phil if he plays with Jack.
And I don't think that Phil's going to be playing in their top 6 or playing with any of those guys. I think he might be playing on the third line with William Karlsson.
That would be fun. That would be kind of fun.
Because if we're just visioning the lineup,
Jack Eichel
will be playing with Stone.
Of course.
I would imagine Chandler Stevenson.
You want to put Stevenson on the wing again?
I think so.
Maybe.
Because they like playing Stevenson with Stone.
Right.
So, and I would imagine your second line, you're playing Riley Smith and Jonathan Marchessault.
But then who do you put in the middle?
Now, maybe in that case, you put Chandler Stevenson and maybe someone else goes up on the top.
Right, because Chandler did build a lot of chemistry with those two.
Yeah. They have options because your 3 center. So Jack Eichel's your 1C.
Yeah.
And then you have 3 options for 2 and 3. That's William Karlsson, Chandler Stevenson, and Nick Waugh.
Nick Waugh could be interesting. Yeah, you're right. And they did just ink him.
So they have options, which is a good thing.
The weirdest thing to me isn't Phil going to Vegas. The weirdest thing to me is him not wearing 81.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck is up with that?
It's going to be strange just to see the number 8.
Yeah. That's the reason he's with Vegas. He needed just to sign to a team that didn't have an 81.
I guess. Well, because it's like, I don't know, because I doubt Marchessault would give 81 up, even for a guy like Phil Kessel.
Why would he?
I mean, it's be all end all, unless you're like.
Because at that point, it looks weird seeing Jonathan Marchessault not wearing that number.
Right. So, like, it's weird with jersey numbers of guys, like, specifically on a team like Vegas, because unless you're like a really legacied player, like a Marc-Andre Fleury, why would you not, like, what's the point in giving up a number?
Yeah.
Right? Like, just wear whatever, unless you're a guy that is like stapled to a number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which that's what I thought was going to happen with Phil, but I guess not.
I don't think Phil is legacy enough.
He still feels like he's kind of stapled to 81, but that's just me.
No, I agree with that. But it goes into what I said about it's really fucking weird that he went to the Knights.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those signings that like I can't explain it other than just the vibes are off.
See what he does. Quick note, similar to that, the Penguins extended Mike Sullivan for another 3 years.
Which is great. He's a great coach.
He's fantastic. Deserves it. Absolutely. Lou made all the signings that he finally needed to make.
Yeah, he did the bare minimum, and people are happy.
Noah Dobson got his deal. Alex Romanov got his deal. Both are 4 years, right?
3 years.
3 years. Okay.
3 years, $4 million for Noah Dobson, so that will keep him in RFA. Same with Romanov; he's making 2.5, and then Kiefer Bellows, 1.2 over 1, which Bellows is a bottom sixer who doesn't really do much, but you know.
I do like Bellows. He's a guy to pull for.
He's a player.
He's still a guy to cheer for.
He's way better hockey than I'll ever be.
So yay for Lou actually doing things, I guess.
It's good to know he still has a pulse.
Right, exactly. Paul Stastny went somewhere that was kind of out of the blue too. He went to Carolina.
Out of the blue, but you know,
good fit.
Yeah, for what they want to do and how they play. I mean,
because Stepan went and left, Lorentz is out, right?
Like, yeah, you know, you've got so much center depth, and I love what they did because you lost Vinny Trocheck.
You did lose Trocheck.
And I know a lot of people were hoping that in response to that, you were going to have Jesperi Kotkaniemi move up the lineup, but it gives you have flexibility. You can let him move up the lineup and be your third line center, or you can continue to let him cook as the fourth line center and run one of the most efficient fourth lines in hockey.
Right. And the thing about Stastny though is like he's 36, going to be 37.
He's still so fucking productive.
He's so productive.
Because the thing with Paul Stastny is he's never been like a superstar.
No.
He, sure, he's slowed down.
His dad was.
Yeah. Sure, he has slowed down as, most players who play till the age 36, 37 do. And his shot's not as strong as it used to be.
Right.
But his game has never been about his physical attributes. It's always been about how freaking smart he is.
Yes.
And how wise he is with the puck and the decisions.
How he sees the ice is brilliant.
His visions it's great. So like, his production hasn't dipped that much as he's aged because the things that he relies on to be great, that's not what slows down as he ages.
No, he's just got
strengthen.
He's just got a brilliant brain for the sport.
Yeah.
Like he's absolutely going to be a head coach at the end of his career.
I could totally see it. Last year, 21 goals, 24 assists for 45 points in 71 games. He has now played over 1,000 games in the National Hockey League.
Yay!
He has exactly 800 points.
I'm just more surprised that he didn't go back to Winnipeg as like a player coach like Spezza going to Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, he could have gone back to Winnipeg. He could have gone back to St. Louis. He
could have gone back to Vegas.
But 16 years in the National Hockey League. That's unbelievable.
Dude, imagine if he went back to Vegas. You have Eichel, Stastny, Stevenson, Waugh.
Yeah, but I mean, he's 28 games away from 1,100 games in the National Hockey League. He didn't want to be scratched after the 27th game he played. Mike Babcock style.
Oh, God. I can totally see Bonus pulling that kind of move, though, too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Carolina's a fit. Carolina's a good fit. And does he not feel like a Rod Brindamore kind of player.
He
at this
absolutely
point in
feels
his
like
career.
he does feel like a Brindy player.
So, yeah, I like this move a lot for Carolina.
Stastny to Carolina. Zadina's sticking around in Detroit, which is interesting. That's one where it kind of makes me scratch my head. But at the same time, I do think Stevie Y's got faith in this kid still.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to remember that not all players age the same.
Right.
So, I mean, let's see here. Filip Zadina is 22.
Right. He's your age.
He's
Younger.
younger. So, like, I don't know. I want to give the guy a chance. The good thing is, and just looking at the numbers here, he's never been great defensively. Probably never will be. But last year was by far his best year in terms of how he drove offense, particularly off the rush.
Yep.
Was 78 percentile in even strength offense. It's just that his finishing's not great.
I'm just trying to think because he's obviously going to be in the plans to be in your top 6.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go Bertuzzi, Larkin, Zadina? Do you put him with Pius Suter?
His role has been more often in the bottom 6 than anything. And here's the thing. You're paying him 1.85 over the next 3 years. That's not bad. I think that's part of the reason you extend this kid is because you can do it for so cheap for the next 3 years. So even if he is just a bottom 6 player, sure, that's not what you envision when you drafted the guy. But at that money, that's not bad at all. He's a young kid. He's a shoot first player, but he's just struggling to finish.
Right.
But he doesn't take penalties, and the talent's there. And I think the hope is that
he's got the hands. He's really fast.
But I think the hope is just that, you get a little puck luck and you just start finishing more.
Yeah.
So, and it also just feels like the kind of guy that you don't want to trade away because the second you do, it goes somewhere else.
You're gonna regret.
You know what I mean? Like he just has that kind of feel, and that's not something that Steve Yzerman does very often.
No,
unless he doesn't like shipping off players who are talented but are struggling for
nothing.
He likes to do it for, he wants something in return, like when you trade a Jonathan Drouin and you get a Mikhail Sergachev.
Yes.
That's what you're looking for. But if the return on a Filip Zadina is a 3rd round pick,
that's not really what he's looking for.
Why make the deal?
Right. You want to make that a hockey trade and try to get production out of it.
Exactly, and that's why Steve Yzerman is so great. He can make hockey trades. Yes,
exactly. One more signing and then a couple of fun things, and I know you got to go.
Yep.
So the Otter finally got his deal done.
Yeah, and this is a good deal because this is going to keep him an RFA, right?
Yes, because he's only like in his early 20s.
So 3 years.
3 years, $12 million in total.
Yeah, they got that price a lot lower than I thought they would.
Well, because they still need to sign Robertson too.
For some reason, I thought this was going to come somewhere in the $5.5 million range. They got it down to 4.
I know, and I think part of that is that it's Jake buying in and knowing that they have more than just him in terms of really young pieces that they need to invest in. So knowing that Robbie still needs done, it was probably a decent part of that.
Yeah, you've got your young core of Robbie and Rope and Otter, Miro, like
Dennis.
I'm interested to see where Dennis kind of fits in there.
I hope that Dennis works out.
I hope he bounces back because I do believe in him, but last 2 years have not been as promising as the top run was. But I've been very critical over the years, as you know, of Jim Neal. He deserves a lot for this.
This
was
one's really, really nice.
Yeah.
So then I think you run, because they re-signed Wedgwood too, so it's got to be Otter and Wedge, right? It's got to be Otter and Wedgie, right?
Yeah, and I'm interested to see if anything happens with Anton Hudobin.
Yeah,
Still under
because
contract for another year at $3.3 million, I believe.
yes, and Holtby is in a tough situation with his injury and more or less maybe retirement. Is he officially retired now?
He's done.
Well, he's in that weird area where he's not like officially retired, but at the same time, it's like great.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the guy.
I feel bad for him too. So yeah, he's not officially retired, but like he's retired. You know what I mean?
It's Ben Bishop all over again. How sad is this?
But the thing is it doesn't affect Dallas because it was
I know
he was on. So it's not like he was under contract with them and he's not going to play again. So they don't have to.
But still, it's just like it feels like a Ben Bishop story all over again, and it's sad.
Yeah.
But the Otter's sticking around, and I love this kid a lot. Personally, he's
great personality.
Fun to watch.
Yeah. Big, lanky goalie with big wingspan, long reach. There's a lot you can do with him.
Yes.
And I think he's I know that the regular season numbers don't blow your mind, but I just how he played in that series against Calgary, I think is
that shows you what kind of goalie he is.
It shows you what he can be. And he's young as hell, and he's going to keep progressing and continue to get better. And I think he can be a premier goalie in the National Hockey League.
Oh, absolutely. He's already like working his way into that conversation of like he's in that tier that's probably, what would you say, third tier ish at this point, or would you say he's like
he's because the playoff series is only 7 games.
Right.
His regular season numbers have been fine, but
because I wouldn't put him directly below like Igor and Vasi yet.
No, God, no, I wouldn't either. But tier 3 sounds correct. I mean, I'd put him in the same category as Elvis, and
yeah,
guys like him. Put him in Ville Husso.
Ville Husso is another decent comparable.
Category. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what Otter does this year, especially with Pete DeBoer. Like, I wonder how that goes, right? Like,
thank you for reminding me that Pete DeBoer's their coach.
Pete DeBoer and goalies has always been kind of weird with me, right?
Yeah, because I mean, you don't want to count the Devils too much because he had Marty fucking Brodeur.
That's Marty Brodeur, yeah.
So that's not really Pete DeBoer, but when
in the Panthers, you had Luongo.
Not at that point, I don't think.
No,
they would have had Tomas Vokoun at that point.
Oh, they would have had Vokoun. Okay. So the Devils, you had Marty. With the Sharks, you had Martin Jones.
but Jones hadn't broken out, so I think he does deserve some credit.
Jones was still playing pretty decent, yeah,
because he played pretty well with LA as their backup, and then they traded him to Boston. Then Boston traded him to San Jose that same day, and LA was like, "Are you fucking? We were trying to get him out of division."
Right. It's like it's like what happened with Hoffman.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But then he goes to Vegas, and you have Fleury and Leonard.
Yeah.
Like,
who were already established.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And Martin Jones wasn't he wasn't obviously old or veteran, but he wasn't necessarily like a really young guy because he was undrafted. He would have been 25 when he was with the Sharks at first.
25, 26, somewhere in there, probably. I wouldn't know. But yeah, Oettinger, I'm interested to see how he does with Pete. Dallas really needs to kick it in a high gear again to try to just get back to where they were.
Yeah.
Last couple of things to wrap things up. Fun thing back in Buffalo, the goat head is back.
Thank God.
How
That I've been
awesome.
waiting for years. People in Buffalo have been waiting for years. So cool to have it back. One of
So-
the best logos. The color combination of black and red and
The
white.
black and red is going to be a third, like an official third soon.
Yeah.
And they're also making the goat head probably in gold and blue for their reverse retro this year.
Yes.
How much fun, like they're going full force with the goat head, and I love it.
Me too.
I kind of want to see them bring the cross swords back at some point too. Like I know they did that with the reverse retro last year, but I want to see that like as a shoulder patch again.
Sabres deserve a little bit of credit for their logos. They've got some good logos.
They got some really creative stuff. And I mean, no, you know what you got to do?
What do you got to do?
You got to go full, weird and put like the goat head on the chest, the cross swords on one shoulder, and the buff slug on the other shoulder. It's absolutely what you got to do is you got to just cross all the eras. And just make it the most fun looking crazy.
Yeah.
Just go all out. But yeah, fun little design thing. And then the NHL 23 cover came out a little bit before that. And it's nice that we got a premier young guy in Trevor Zegras.
Yep. Which is kind of what everybody has. It's been like the worst kept secret in hockey.
I mean, yeah. But the bigger part of it is Sarah Nurse.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. To include her on it.
Yeah, I don't know how often, like, I don't know if that's going to be on every copy. Because people don't get physical copies of the game anymore.
Yeah, generally speaking, no.
Generally speaking, it's all digital download anymore.
Yeah, digital download with, whether it be Xbox or PS5,
PlayStation,
or like, yeah, that's an interesting point.
So who knows, like, if that's just going to stick as the official art for everything? It's a great photo. Let's be frank. It's so cool.
The only thing that I don't like about it is it seems very bland and basic. Just having them in their jerseys by each other in like shorts. Like I want it have a picture. Why not have like Trevor Zegras, whether it be like an actual photo from a live game or have him like imitating a photo of him trying like the Michigan,
trying to Michigan or
the Dishigan.
Which,
here's an idea.
Fun fact. The Dishigan is going to be a move in the game.
Yes.
That's going to be so much fun.
They could have done Trevor Zegras doing the Dishigan to Sarah Nurse.
To Sarah Nurse? Oh, that would have been fun. That would have been. And Sarah in the Team Canada jersey.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been a really fun idea.
I don't know. There's a couple ways they could have done that, like including the players, like actually like in their full gear.
You could have done like a split screen thing. Would have been fun.
Yeah.
Them like just with game faces and full gear.
Yeah, they're like, I love that they did Zegras on the cover. I would have preferred Cale Makar, but I totally understand them doing Zegras.
Well, Zegras being like, obviously they're both super marketable, but I mean, like, I feel like with the way that Zegras is changing the game, he's more marketable for the video game.
100%. Totally understand why they did that. Love they did Sarah Nurse. I just feel,
and I believe
feel like they could have executed it a little better.
I think they are also bringing in women's hockey into the game.
That'd be really cool. I hope they do.
That's at least like a rumor that I heard, and why Sarah's on the cover.
I would hope. It would be strange if they put her on the cover and there was nothing
and not have like any PHF or anything.
Yeah. Even if it's just like women's national teams.
Yeah, even if it's just like a weird play now.
Mm.
You know,
I think it'd be really cool. I hope they do it.
yeah, I really hope they do a lot more with women's hockey in the game.
Because I think that, and I think it's an opportunity for both league and game to profit.
Mhm.
The PHF or any other women's hockey league could
The
profit.
HPA.
Yeah, they could all profit off of inclusion in a video game like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, oh yeah, one more fun fact, women's hockey wise, Montreal's team name got revealed.
Yes, yeah, really cool.
The
I like their
Montreal,
jerseys.
yeah, the logo's really
Jerseys
nice.
are nice.
The Montreal Force.
I think they did a hell of a job with it. I love the colors. I love the logo. The whole vibe to it's nice. So I'm excited about them.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see whatever Detroit does too.
Yeah,
Because I think we're still waiting on Detroit, right? But Montreal got their PHF team. Like at least the branding is like official now.
Yep.
And it's awesome. And I know you got to go. What would you say, like a week? On the way, because you're out of town.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll have a tweet up, I'm sure.
We'll have a tweet. Soon we're gonna do profiles for each conference. We're gonna do one for the East, one for the West, as separate episodes, and then soon enough we're gonna get into hockey, baby.
Let's go.
All right.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Garinger, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.